How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting. I kind of thought I'd feel better. I don't. We're on the precipice of not fun, and I'm just gonna have to wing it. Just hope it's okay. It's like I'm looking forward to it because I really want to know what happens next, but I have a feeling I know what the tone of this episode's going to be, and it's gonna suck. So let's just brace ourselves. Michiru now knows about second entity, Dark Michiru, and she really feels like everything that she's been doing for the last parts of her life, not only have her memories been undercut by Dark Michiru, but now a lot of the major life decisions and life direction that's happened, despite the fact that, frankly, Michiru was the one who got the courage to really, ask Yuuji out. She's the one who put together the lunches and the weird, loaf sandwich and the beach trip and all of it. That was all Michiru, but she doesn't feel like it was because the origin, the first kiss, a lot of things were Dark Michiru's actions and Dark Michiru's influence, because it even sounds like we went out with her because Dark Michiru asked us to. Now, Yuuji tried to refute that because it's true. Whilst maybe the idea was planted by Dark Michiru, he actually expressly told her to back off because he wanted Michiru to be the one to step forward. I really respected that, and I wish he was better able to communicate that to her, to be like, look, I stopped her from interfering because I wanted you to be the one to step up. And you did a great job. But it was such a heavy moment, there really wasn't a good time for us. I don't think it was even a reasonable thing to expect that he could do. I wish he could have. But I also don't feel like that we were cheated out of that, or that Yuuji was just climbing up. I feel like he did have he struggled to have the words, but a lot of that would make sense with the emotions that we're writing at the time. And so now we get to see what the heck happens. So buckle up. Let's see how this goes. I'd expected the rain to linger, but it vanished quickly, with surprising swiftness. Before I know it, the sound of raindrops against the window disappears, and the cicadas emerge from their hiding places to join in a vigorous chorus of chirps. The sunlight streaming in from the window is so bright, it almost feels like the dimsel little scene in Michiru's room was all an illusion. As the air grows thick with humidity, I raise my hand on the damp desk and settle my breathing. The world, previously dark as night, has last regained its luster. I can only hope the change in weather rallies Michiru's spirits a little. Alright then. With those words, I push myself up off the desk. At times, it can be the easiest to postpone the planning phase until after you've started moving. My head feels strangely heavy on my shoulders. My thoughts are sluggish and vague. Unless I verbally spur myself on, I don't think I'll manage to take even the first step forward. Alright then, what next? I agree, this is a big, gigantic what if. What do we do? I speak again, trying to get into gear, but my wheels can't find any traction. Well, sometimes it doesn't come easy. I continue speaking my thoughts aloud, but my strangely flat words evaporate into the muggy air. Seems like this technique just isn't going to work today. But fortunately, the deadlock's broken from the other side. I stand and quietly open the door. Michiru stands outside my room with a face full of regret and anxiety, eyes darting back and forth. She plays with the hem of her skirt. The girl clearly hasn't calmed down yet. Judging from those terrible bloodshot eyes, she was probably crying in her room until not so long ago. You do not have anything to be sorry about. Michiru's just full of apologies lately. At this point, it's no longer clear what she's even sorry for. They're meaningless words, filler for when she doesn't know what else to say. You don't need to apologize. Want to come in?
大丈夫。でも私、どうしていいのかわからなくて。
Okay. So far, we're talking to what seems like real Michiru. That's really good. But it doesn't seem like things have gotten better. I feel like she's tried to process things, hit a big wall, and is not having any success. And now she's coming to us. I see. I'm not irresponsible enough to tell you it's not a problem. Let alone don't worry about it, but right now you're too upset to think. Maybe you should pet the cat for a while until you feel a little better?
そうだね。私もそう思ってた。 ニャメル、ユージのとこに来てるかな。
No, he's not here. I saw him heading out of the school a little while ago.
そっか。じゃあ、そこかな。私、ニャメルを探しに行ってくるね。
Can we come with? I don't like the idea of you being alone, but I also don't want to push it. Michiru sets off down the hallway, presumably intending to head for the usual high ridge, but after only a few steps, she loses her balance and has to steady herself against the wall. Maybe you should get a little rest first?
だってさっき、ニャメルに冷たくしちゃったから、すぐ謝らなくちゃ。これあげるの。
Sheesh, girl. Come on. Michiru holds out her hand to show me a small plastic bag full of biscuits in the shape of various animals. Oh, she's literally feeding him, like, animal crackers? Oh no, that's not good for cats.
これはね、いい子にしてた時にだけあげてるの。
Oh.
ちゃんと猫用に作られてるやつなんだよ。でも、一度にたくさんあげたらお腹壊しちゃうから、ちょっとずつね。
Okay, that's actually pretty cool. The girl forces a strained, quavery smile onto her face. In combination with her swollen red eyes, the effect is downright pitiful. I see. By which you presumably mean I just bought too many. You can have one, but that's it?
え？あ、そう。私ツンデレだもんね。そういう風に言わないとね。
Ew, gosh, no! Either way, I'll come too. I can't leave you alone in this condition.
ほんと？嬉しいな。これって、デートかな？
She's talking like she's teetering. And it almost also like she's not sleeping. Like she's so... What's the word? It's like she's exhausted. Like extremely exhausted. To the point where it's almost like she's in a dream state. I think the term search and rescue operation is more appropriate.
え？つまり、デートじゃないんだよね。
I decided to come along entirely on my own. Nobody else played any role. Is that enough for you?
それでいいよ。じゃあ行こう。
Okay. Nichiru reaches down and grabs my hand. Since there's no particular reason to shake her off, I squeeze back with a moderate amount of force. But what do you plan to do if someone sees us like this? Won't your tsundere reputation be ruined?
いいのよ。ユージが勝手に付きまとってきてるってことにするんだから。
Normally, we'd probably have a pretty smart retort for that or just turn and leave, but no, not today. Now you're going to make me into a stalker? You really are nothing but trouble, princess.
ニャメル！ニャメル！
Looking around the area restlessly, Richiru calls the cat's name again and again. Probably wasted effort. I think it'll be able to sense his presence if he were hiding around here. I saw him running toward the road, so he probably left the premises for a while. Maybe he's still outside the campus?
私が冷たくしたから驚いちゃったんだろうな。ねえユージ、ニャンメルが許してくれなかったらどうしよう。
Honestly, I actually have a recent experience with this. So I actually brought up a couple episodes ago about my little tsundere cat that I have, Prince. Perfectly named, isn't he? But yeah, since then, we actually had to take him for his regular checkup. And one thing that's interesting is that he absolutely adores and snuggles and is very like lovey-dovey with us in the family, specifically me. But with everyone in our family, he's very, very close to. But anybody who comes over, any strangers, family members, friends, what have you, it almost doesn't matter how often they come over, he gets really nervous around other people. And so going to the vet is a big deal. Unfortunately, this recent trip was a lot more intense for him, I think. He was petrified. Like, you've seen cats that like quarter, that hiss and spit and, claw? He started with that, but then when we like got him out of the kennel and were like giving him, when he was being like handled and inspected by the vet, he froze. He completely went like kind of essentially limp and just kind of let things happen. And it was awful to watch. And then I took him home and he was crying the whole time, and we got home and then he started running away from me and avoiding me. And I felt awful. I was like, my gosh, he probably feels betrayed, like that I stabbed him in the back and like that he doesn't know what to do with me anymore. And for a full like day and a half, he was really standoffish. But thankfully, over time, he seems to have come right back around to his usual ways and not treating me any differently than he used to, which is funny because like it still means that he's super like aggressively cuddly and aggressively aggressive to me, but I still prefer that to the standoffish scared cat. Won't forgive you. Give him a little food and he'll forget it even happened. It's just a cat, you know.
何よその言い方。意地悪。やっぱりいないな。
You have a place in mind, right? No need to be so uneasy. After a slow walk along the seaside road, we finally approached the usual spot. Michiru's not in great shape. She had to squat down and catch her breath several times, but she's refused to take a longer break. That's so crazy, because remember, not too long ago when we were doing our dates, like, she was coming on, like, our, like 3-kilometer jogs and, like, going to the beach and, like, running around all day. So she's not, she may not be the most fit person, but she's certainly not weak. But she's definitely super fatigued right now.
だって早くニャンメルに会いたいもん。
Large puddles of water sit on the surface of the road, beautifully reflecting the blue sky above. Apparently trying not to disturb their brilliance, Michiru carefully steps around them as she walks. Even as I'm watching the girl hop around like an unusually dejected rabbit, my mind is somewhere else entirely. A certain unpleasant premonition has begun to take root inside me. At times like these, my animal instincts is vexingly accurate. Oh no, does he think something happened to the cat?
あれいないな。いつもはここにいるんだけど。ニャンメルニャンメル
Michiru frantically searches places where the cat might be hiding, but there's no familiar meow to greet her. The still damp grass leaves her clothes slightly wet. It is really weird he's not here, isn't it? Michiru, don't get too flustered, even if he isn't here. Probably just hanging around somewhere else for the moment. There's no cause for alarm.
だってニャンメルいつも私の部屋かここにいるのに今日に限っていないなんて。
Oh boy. Only your room and here. That's more unusual than him going missing. We're dealing with a stray cat. Surely there are other haunts?
野良猫じゃないよ。ニャンメルだよ。ねえ、だったらどこか他の場所にいるのかな。ヤジが先に寮に帰ってて、私は探すから。
Look for him where?
全部いそうなところ全部。
Again, with the crazy talk.
ニャンメル
Oh! A light brown cat spotted with white emerges from a nearby clump of bushes. Michiru heaves a heavy sigh, then crouches down and talks to it.
ごめんね。探してるのは君じゃないのよ。
Aww.
ニャンメル知らない？黒猫の。
The stray cat seems to be primarily interested in the biscuits Michiru's holding, probably emerged after hearing the plastic bag rustling.
これは君にはあげられないのよ。でも一個だけなら。はい、お食べ。
Aww.
どこかでニャンメルを見かけたら教えてね。
He might have just wandered back into the dormouse zone by now. Let's get going.
わかった。
Michiru trudges along, clearly discouraged. The sun's now straight overhead, ruthlessly bathing us in midsummer heat.
ニャンメル、どこ行っちゃったのかな。
Oh man, I wonder if she's dehydrated. This is like prime, like, overheating weather. This is like heat stroke weather. That could explain a lot of her fatigue. What's the point of speculating? It's completely natural for cats to wander off. He'll come back once he gets hungry.
私のせいで家出しちゃったってことだよね。だったら困るよ。それはすごい困る。
Why, I understand that feeling.
ねえ、もしかしてここ大きな車も結構通るし、もしかして。
Don't think about that. Don't get caught up in what ifs. The first place. All of a sudden, Michiru drops her plastic bag of biscuits onto the road. I pick it up and hold it out to her, but the girl shows no sign of reaching out to take it. What's wrong? Tired from the walk? I don't mind carrying you on my back if you want. Oh no.
あれ？ニャンメル？
Oh no. If he did get hit by a car, she's gonna blame herself. Michiru slowly raises a finger to point far down the path on the side of the asphalt roadway. There's a small black lump like a spot of spilled ink. Fetch me.
ねえユージ、あそこで倒れてるのニャンメルかな？ニャンメルじゃない？
I can't see from this distance. I'll go take a look. So you stay here. Understand? Don't move an inch. The black lump's laying about 100 meters ahead. Must have tumbled along the road for a decent distance after the impact. There's a visibly bloody trail leading to the small body. Fetch me! This is awful. Still breathing, but it's a matter of time. The black object before my eyes is without a doubt an unfortunate feline that was hit by a car. But I can't determine whether it's Michiru's pet or simply the stray that bears the strong resemblance to it. The trouble with black cats. No, if I take the time to observe it calmly, I should be able to tell, but for now, I put that off. I told you, wait, dang it. Why didn't you listen? Ignoring my word completely, the girl approaches the trembling legs. Michiru's expression instantly crumples with despair. Her eyes are already full of tears. I briefly hesitate, uncertain how to explain the reality before us. The cat responds to Michiru's call with a feeble croak. It's unmistakable, the familiar now. It's that familiar meow. Fetch me. Calm down. Panicking isn't going to help anything. I'll take a look. I examine the cat to where it lays limply on the road. There's bleeding from the mouth and ears, but the external wounds don't appear that severe. But that's internal bleeding, then. When I feel gently around the stomach area, I can feel the broken bones and ruptured viscera on the other side. The animal suffered serious internal damage from the impact. It's almost like squeezing a rubber bag packed full of ice cubes. I have an unpleasant feeling his organs aren't where they're used to be. Small, bright red pools of blood have formed at the edge of the cat's eyes. When I pat his head, the animal blinks, sending them flowing down his face like tears. He's been avoiding me all this time, but that wasn't exactly how I pictured our reconciliation. He won't make it if we leave him like this. We need to get him to a vet, and soon. Tell me if you see a car approaching, alright? I'll stop them. Hey, watch it. You're trying to get yourself killed? As Michiru dashes out into the middle of the road, the driver screeches to a halt and rolls down his window to shout angrily. I come running after and put both hands on the hood of his taxi. I'm sorry about my friend, but please hear us out. This is an emergency. Can you get us to the veterinarian quickly? We don't have time to argue, alright? In response to my forceful bluster, the apparently soft-hearted driver nods quietly. When I turn back to Michiru, who's already carrying the limp cat back in her arms. Its limbs lie bent in strange directions from a distance. It almost looks as though she's cradling a small bundle of withered branches. Oh, God. Oh, no. Get in, Michiru, and keep calm. I don't know. Let's focus on getting him to the veterinarian. That's the most we can do for Meowmel right now. Fetch me. I was wrong. I didn't get. Oh, no. It's not your fault, Michiru. Inside Michiru's arms, Meowmel draws ragged, shallow breaths, trembling slightly. This isn't your fault. It was an accident. Apologizing isn't going to change anything. Large teardrops tumble down Michiru's cheeks and fall to Meowmel's face. The cat laying there like a tattered old carpet is slowly covering in a mixture of tears and blood. Michiru seizes the bag of treats from my hand and breaks up one and places a tiny piece on the tip of her index finger. Meowmel tentatively sticks out his tongue and licks Michiru's finger several times. The fragrance of the fragment of biscuit on her finger quickly grows sticky and red with his blood.
このまま元気になるよね。
Fetch me. Distorting the truth would be easy enough, but what's the point? My lies can't dull her pain, much less save the cat. I offer them both a sincere answer. Hug him, Michiru. It's the only thing you can do right now.
なんでそんなこと言うの？なんで助からないみたいに言うの？だってほら、こんなに元気だよ。
Meowmel's beginning to cough weakly, trying to spit out the saliva and blood pooling in his tiny mouth, but the light gradually fading from his eyes. Gosh darn it. Why'd it have to be a cat? As Michiru strokes the cat, hair falls out in bloody clumps and Stitch sticks to the seat of the car. The driver glances tentatively back at us through the rearview mirror. Don't worry, I'll pay for the cleaning bill. I reach out and gently rest a hand on Meowmel's body. His convulsions don't seem to be getting any better. There's no longer any room for wishful thinking. It won't be long now.
お願い行かないで。どこにも行かないで。
With one final soft purr, Meowmel extends his forelegs straight out as if to pester his mother for milk. And just like that, he quietly breathes his last. Gosh darn it, it's a fictional cat! Michiru must have felt very instant as the tiny life disappeared inside her arms. Trembling violently, she looks over at me with pleading eyes. I shake my head slowly, but she nonetheless presses her lips against the cat's blood-stained mouth and tries artificial respiration. It didn't go well. In the end, she hangs her head and breaks into hysterical sobs. Some people would probably say it's only a cat, or maybe how much can a relationship that only lasted a few weeks really mean? Fetch me, man. But there's no denying the fact that this cat was an irreplaceable friend to Michiru. A beloved companion was just taken from her in the most meaningless, arbitrary way possible right before her eyes. There's not even anyone to blame, no story to explain it. To enable acceptance, death abruptly wandered by and snatched him away for no reason at all. I'm sorry. May please change the destination to Mihama Academy. We don't have any reason to visit the veterinarian anymore. When I inform the driver of the situation, Michiru objects in a choked voice.
どうして？まだ助かるかも。
That's not possible anymore. You know it isn't. Accept reality.
でも、
I understand that you don't want to believe it, but there's nothing we can do.
どうしてユージはそんな冷静でいられるの？私こんなの耐えられないよ。もし私が私じゃなかったら、ニャメルは死なずに済んだの？一人のあの子だったら幸せな日々が続いてたの？
What use is there in talking about that? You're you. She has nothing to do with this. We're getting out. Let me have the cat. I'll take care of it.
処理なんて言わないで。だってこの子ニャンメルだよ。二人で名前つけたんだよ。
I know. Look, just get out of the car, alright? Here isn't time to throw a tantrum.
どうしてなんで冷静でいられるの？ユージはニャンメルのことが大事じゃないの？ねえ、なんで？
It kind of sucks because it's like one of those things where it's not just Yuuji. Yuuji has probably seen a lot of death, and so it's not as shocking. He wasn't as close to Meowmel, so it's not as impactful emotionally. But I also think that there's a level of detaching. Part of why I can be here and be this like emotional is because I'm thinking about the times when I've experienced the loss of a pet or a friend, and in a moment like this where I'm here reading a story, it lets me kind of be in that moment again, but in a healthy way, I guess you could say, a way I could process it. Because when you're actually in those moments, I don't know if it's a guy thing or what, but a lot of times things kind of coalesce and you focus on facts and you just move forward because it's the only thing you can do to hold yourself together. And usually somebody's got to have someone's got to have their shit together, and it usually has to be me. And so it's about survival. It's about making it through and knowing that you've got to be there and be the support when everything else is falling apart. And then later you tend to fall apart yourself, but when it feels safe and when it feels like you can. Gosh darn it. And so here we go here, where I am kind of reliving my own experiences here, but because I'm safe and because it's a story and because it's a place where I can feel and express myself rather than having to be in the middle of a crisis, it's just kind of hitting me all at once, which is crazy because I've gone through sad parts in stories and not been this upset, but for some reason it's just, this is the hammer fall right here. Fetch me. I'm sorry.
こうなったのも私が名前をつけたからだ。やっぱり名前なんてつけなきゃよかったんだよ。私と関係しなければよかったんだ。
No.
もうやだよ。こんなのやだよ。
It doesn't make sense in the moment, but in hindsight, life has taught me, and I'm sure it's taught most of you, that it's horrible in the moment, and you almost wish it never could have happened. But that friendship is worth it, even if it causes you pain when it's over. The joy and the pleasure it gave you in the time is worth every second, even this part.
もうこれ以上悲しいことはやだよ。誰かと仲良くなったり笑ったりしても結局最後にはお別れしかないんだ。もういいや。こんなのひどいよ。
I grab Michiru by the wrist and forcibly yank her along. Shut up. Then embrace her forcefully. I hug Michiru's slender body against mine so strongly it feels like I might break her. This is painful for me too. At those words, Michiru buries her face against my chest and begins sobbing convulsively. Meowmel dying is a sad, terrible thing for both of us, but you need to stop drawing connections that aren't there. The cat's death had nothing to do with anything else, and you sure as hell weren't at fault. This was an accident.
でも
I've been through something very similar myself. I know how it feels, alright? But there's no point in just breaking down. Do what you have to first. If you're going to cry, then do it after. See, that's the same thing. I don't think it's a guy, maybe it's not just a guy thing, maybe it's all about the survival part. And if you're in the position, guy, girl, whatever, where you have to be the one to keep your stuff together, you got to be the one to march forward and make sure that you get to the safe spot, to the safety line, to home. You've got to sometimes pack it away for a bit. Just be objective, because somebody has to make sure that you don't just give up.
わかんないよ。今私がするべきことなんてわかんない。
Then think, don't run away. I attempt to pay the cabbie, but he drives off without accepting a dime. Probably wanting to bid the quickest possible farewell to his eerie clients and their blood-stained cat corpse.
友情は強いんだ。頭もいいし。だからそんなことが言えるけど。私はバカだから。考えたってわかんないよ。
You're not alone in that, my friend. Michiru hugs the cat's body tightly, showing no intention of letting it go anytime soon. She seems to have accepted the reality of its death, but clearly has no idea how to cope with it. That's not a stuffed animal in your arms. You can't hold on to it forever.
わかってる。
Let me take the cat. I won't treat him badly. After a long internal debate, Michiru finally hands me the cat. Thanks to the summer heat, fluid has already begun to ooze out of its anus. Ugh, the girl's clothes are soiled. Even so, she pets his head numerous times, clearly reluctant to part. That's this crappy thing about it. It's like, it's such a horrible thing, and it's already so terrible. But then it's just the realities of life and biology are there. And nature does not wait. Nature doesn't wait.
やめる。
I decided it's probably best to let her be alone for a while after respectfully dealing with the cat's body. I returned to my room and took a shower. The cat died. From an objective point of view, a stray cat was hit by a car, nothing more, nothing less. In the animal shelters, abandoned pets and feral strays are disposed of in tens of thousands every year. To the world at large, the death of a cat is essentially meaningless. But a precious fragment of Michiru's world was stolen away before her very eyes. From that perspective, we've clearly facing a gravely serious situation. Not what I expected today. I also didn't expect to be crying my eyes out. I gave Michiru a little time to herself. She may manage to calm down a bit by now. I head to the girl's room to check up on her. It's me. I'm coming in. There's no answer. I open the door immediately, but pause for a moment before entering as if expecting the cat to suddenly poke his head into the gap. This despite the fact that I disposed of his body only a few minutes ago. Ridiculous. And again, with the darkness, let's start by making things a little less. Halfway through the sentence, my breath catches in my throat. Michiru's crumpled awkwardly on the floor, almost as if she's fallen out of the bed. There's a fine white froth around her mouth. Oh my gosh! Numerous containers of Ramune candy lie scattered on the ground around her. I've been slightly suspicious about these for some time now, but it's obvious that they're in fact some kind of medication. An overdose, is it? Lovely. Fetch me! No! I grab one of the lozenges from the floor and pop it in my mouth. The medicine quickly dissolves when I chew it, leaving a powdery substance. I immediately spit it out and wipe my tongue with my sleeve. I thought it vaguely resembled a tranquilizer I'd seen before. Seems I was correct. Not a particularly strong drug, but that doesn't make an overdose any less dangerous. Michiru, open your mouth. I push Michiru up to the sitting position and wrench her open her mouth with my fingers, pulling out a thick, gluey glump of half-melted lozenge. At least she took the medication straight. She'd crushed the pills and mixed them in yogurt or swallowed them down with alcohol. This could have been a lot worse. Pipe down. Getting your stomach pumped hurts like hell, you know. Let's try and deal with this here. The area around her mouth coated with sticky saliva, Michiru breaks down in tears. Fetch me. You did stupid damn thing just now. Expect a proper scolding later. There's no need to try and bear everything all by yourself. Understood? I'm here! Fetch me. What is that? So like we saw that text appear in the top corner for the first time. That was really weird. We've never seen that format before. Sorry, Chizuru.
なんとか学園内で処置したけど、これは大問題よ。
I'm aware. I'll repay you for this soon.
そんなこと言ってるんじゃなくて、もう今後は手は貸せませんからね。
It's alright, Michiru. You can sleep a little longer.
私は夢を見ていた。そこは穏やかで何の問題もなかった。もう元の世界には戻りたくないと思った。でもすぐに夢から覚めることも分かっていた。だから怖かった。ただひたすらに怖かった。
That was really interesting. We got like an internal monologue. Fetch me. I didn't think it was going to go down that route. I thought it was going to be a metaphysical thing. I predicted the cutoff, the shut-off valve inside herself that she's got. That was going to be the escape. And it was going to be along the similar lines of the making a very, very self-destructive decision, you know, but this was a lot more grounded and sad in reality, sadly. Terrifying reality. Too familiar, unfortunately. Fetch me. This is not good for my health. Maybe she just wanted to avert her eyes from reality for a brief moment. Maybe she wanted to make a permanent escape from the claustrophobic box. Nobody knows Michiru's reasons for taking such a dangerous amount of medication. She would pop the medicine relatively, like fairly regularly. So is it something she's prescribed or something she smuggles? And then we've seen her do it when she's anxious. And so did she just take it too far or like and unintentionally do that? Or was it intentional? That's the question. I could speculate endlessly, but it won't get me any closer to a definitive answer. Might even be that girl herself has no real explanation. Impulsively overdosing on pills isn't going to change the world around you. Nearly killing yourself won't transform reality. Your pain won't make time run backward. That's what it means to live in this world. Chizuru told her classmates that Michiru had collapsed from anemia, letting them know that the suicide attempt would without a doubt, have created a counterproductive uproar. At this rate, the girl's going to end up shifting from a pseudo-tsundere into a sickly character.
Oh. Ohayo.
Morning. How are you feeling?
別に大丈夫。何の問題もないよ。
After a few days of rest, Michiru's returned to her normal routine. At a glance, it's hard to believe she might have deliberately attempted to end her own life. The others were fairly worried, but when Michiru brought out the normal tsundere song and dance, they apparently decided she was completely back to normal. But I think otherwise. The girl's absolutely not the same. If anything, she seems like an entirely different person. Oh no. To be perfectly frank, she looks like a lifeless doll acting out a fictional character.
何よ。そんなに見ないでよね。
Right. Sorry.
ところでね、私、折り合いをつけたのよ。
But today, Michiru strikes up a conversation from her end, and after the incident, we've only had the briefest of interactions, so this comes as something of a surprise. Oh? What kind of compromise?
もう決めたの。私には楽しいことなんて必要ないって。
Fetch me.
ただ生きていればそれでいいんだって。何も望まない。それで全てが解決じゃない？
I wonder if Yuuji can actually relate to that. Because I wonder, he came to the school because he has hope, but it feels like he talks like he's struggled to have hope. That doesn't strike me as much of a solution. It's like closing your eyes and covering your ears when the debt collector knocks on your door. Who's going to pay the bill in your place?
そんなんじゃない。とにかく、もう何も必要ない。
Oh, fetch me.
だからユージ、あんたは自由に生きていいわよ。
That's... no. What's that supposed to mean?
私を心配しなくていいってこと。私に構わなくていいわ。
No.
私のことで煩わされることがなくなるってわけ。
No.
嬉しいでしょ。
I don't remember changing your diapers, and if I thought you were a nuisance, I'd say so. What are you even talking about, woman?
本当は分かってるの。だからそんな風に優しく言わなくても大丈夫。
Excuse me? You think he was being nice to you? He was being himself to you. He wasn't nice.
風見さん、みちる様、おはようございます。
When Sachi appears, Michiru abruptly changes her expression and hurls out an energetic greeting.
あら、サチ、今日もメイド全開ね。
Fetch me. Holy crap.
もちろんです。皆様のメイドですから。みちる様もツンデレ全開ですか？当たり前よ。当たり前なんかじゃないんだからね。
The persona is really just, it's her super safety blanket, but it's become like, she's like, I'm just not going to exist anymore in reality. I'm just not going to be here. I don't matter. Nothing matters. I don't exist. I'm just going to be what everyone wants me to be, and I'll be happy. Well, no, not happy. I'll pretend like I'm happy so that no one worries about me. Fetch me. That's so scarily real. That's so scarily real. That's how it feels when you feel like, when you feel depressed, when you feel like when you feel depressed and you also feel like you're just a disappointment to the people around you. That's like the way that the thoughts go. The thoughts go like, well, I'll just behave the way that makes sure that no one worries. And as long as everyone else is happy, that's all that matters. So I'll just cut off all the other feelings. Gosh darn it. You have to understand, I know this feeling so intimately, it's terrifying. Because it's the scariest part of my entire life. Ironically, not as big of a deal for mine. She's got very traumatic and scary things going on, which makes sense for that. Mine was far from that. But when you're young, things that in perspective are not very big can feel massive. So when I was 14, my parents got divorced. But until that point, we had no idea there was anything issue or rocky about their relationship. We had no clue. I was blindsided by the whole prospect. And it kind of shattered my whole world because, that had been a defining feature of my life. Like parents, nuclear family type of feel. Shattered. Just as I'm like really stepping into the early adulthood, 14, 15. At the time I had a girlfriend, my first girlfriend, first kiss, first dates, first girlfriend, then divorce. I go into the summer. I just did what Michiru is describing here. I fully detached. For some reason, my identity revolved around my family and my place in the family and my place in the world. And so when that family imploded, I didn't really know what to do with that. And so my defense mechanism became, I put up a facade of what I thought people expected of me. Of how to behave, where I would be, how I would do things. And I gravitated heavily towards anything that would bring me entertainment and distract me. But ultimately, I just kind of put up this blinder and just genuinely, I kind of just cut off my emotions. Anytime I would feel emotions, I would head it off. I would distract myself or push it away and suppress it. And the best way I can see it in hindsight is the way I treated at that time, my first girlfriend, where I just became so emotionally detached that despite the fact that I would even go and spend time with her, she just did not feel me connecting at all. And she broke it off. And I was so detached from my emotions at the time that when she broke up with me, I didn't even care. It wasn't even like I was upset or relieved, none of it. It just was like, okay, and just moved on. I feel awful. She must have felt so confused and been so bizarre. And the thing is, I have to say it in that way because the craziest part is that about a year, so that summer and most of the next year of school leading into the next summer, I genuinely don't have any real memories of this time period. That story I just told you is based on conversations I had with her later and things I'd heard from friends and just kind of filling in gaps with just basic logic because I removed myself and detached myself so much from my emotions at the time that I actually have a big blind spot where I just don't have any recollections of significance in that time period. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know who I hung out with. I mean, kinda I know, because again, I know who I was friends with before and who I was friends with after, and so I clearly was still friends with those people, but I don't recall doing anything. I think that year, a lot of them got into World of Warcraft, and I didn't even I missed that bandwagon completely in my recollection. I had no clue until they were already so involved. It just didn't make sense for me to do anything or to join up. And then they kind of moved on before I even really got introduced to the whole thing. And so it's very bizarre to explain how I just have this kind of gap where I know I did stuff. I know I lived, I did things, but I don't recall it in any way. And so I think that's what Michiru could do, because that's I've done this. It's disassociation, and it's super crazy, and I reckon very dangerous. The fact that I have no lasting memories from that time period, that should tell you how dangerous this can be. And I imagine I had one of the healthier detachment periods. What is this gonna do to Michiru?
おやおや、相変わらず見当外れのツンデレ感ですね。うふふ。でしょ？まあ、そんなに褒めなくてもいいけどね。うふふ。
Was that really flattery?
褒めているというよりは、現状報告という感じでしょうか。けなしてはいません。事実なので。 ほら、ユージ、けなしてないって言ってるわよ。ってことは、褒められてるってみちる様、大丈夫ですか？
What was that?
ってことね。
Whoa.
何が？大丈夫よ。
That was like I don't know if the game glitched or if it was meant to do that. It looked like she went through like a spasm. So is that a spasm? Or did she transition to Dark Michiru? Like what?
顔色が冴えないようですが、また貧血ですか？寒い日のプールから上がった子供のように唇が紫ですよ。大丈夫よ。これぐらいなんてことないの。ビタミンばっかり取ってて、部活にも鉄分を忘れてたわね。
That's so scary.
レバーをご用意しましょうか。そのうちよろしくね。もちろんです。それでは失礼させていただきます。
Michiru, my friend, try not to push yourself.
別に無理なんてしてないけど。でもそうね。ちょっと休んでくる。
God, that's so scary. I think that would be wise. Michiru shuts herself up in her room for several hours, only to emerge that evening, her face slightly less pallid, but still carrying herself a little oddly. Hey, managed to calm down a little?
別に最初から落ち着いてるし、そもそも。お兄ちゃん
Go away! I want to talk to Michiru!
チルチル。なんで制服着てるのよさ。もう夏休みなのよ。
Michiru starts to stare in surprise at Makina's words. Seems to have only just realized that her choice of clothes is somewhat unusual for this time of year. You're one to talk to me, Makina. You're wearing your uniform. I had made a tactful decision to not comment on the matter, but Makina is a free spirit, unbound by such concerns. Michiru may be making a decent effort to hide it, but she's just in a disturbed, unstable frame of mind. The girl's pretty clearly isn't capable of paying attention to her clothing right now.
それはだってマキナだって着てるじゃないのよ。私は学校がなくてもたまに制服着るのよさ。趣味で。
Then you have no room to talk.
だったら私だって趣味だもん。まあまあ二人とも。でミチル、ちゃんと元気でやってるの？もちろんよ。ちょうど今トライアスロンから帰ってきたとこ。冗談でしょ。なんで病み上がりで鉄人レース出ちゃうかな。あんたたちが心配しないようにミチル様健在ってところをアピっとかないとね。
God, I feel sick.
なるほどな。でもそんなアピりはどうでもいいのよ。ねえねえお兄ちゃん、外で影踏みして遊ぼうなのよさ。お天気いいし、これはもう踏みまくれんぞ。
How do you even come up with that? Not just Makina as the character, but the writer. Who comes up with this?
マキナってばね、ユージと影踏みしたいって聞かないのよ。一人で練習するって言って、シャドーボクシングならぬシャドー影踏みまでして、なんだかもうよくわかんない感じになっちゃってね。
Weird.
そうなのよさ。シャドウで影を踏むなんて。言葉にもてあそばれてる感じがして混乱するのよ。
You're so weird. Why is she so weird? I see. Well, I wouldn't really mind, but before answering, I glanced at Michiru out of the corner of my eye. There's a clearly unhappy expression on her face, and she's restlessly grinding her foot against the floor. This also reminds me of another time. Good grief, all the trauma's just coming out. One of my best friends and somebody who I had a crush on for a long time. She got into a relationship with a guy, and I've talked about this in other videos, so I'll keep it really brief, but he was kind of pushing a little fast for her, and she decided that despite the fact that she really liked him, she didn't like how he was pressuring her. And so for her own sanity, she decided to break it off. But unfortunately, he ended up turning a lot of her close friends, like her childhood friends, against her, kind of making it sympathetic to him, making it sound like she's being unreasonable, and they like kind of try to reflect that, saying like, hey, aren't you being the unreasonable one? She's like, well, no, like I feel uncomfortable, even if I really like the guy, like that doesn't, like if he's making me uncomfortable, I shouldn't stick around for that. And they kind of just abandoned her. It was really awful to watch. And I remember that she was going through it, and she kind of went into this shell mode a bit. Maybe not so reclusive or dangerous, but like she was just kind of visibly unhappy, expressing like restlessness, and like so she's grinding her foot against the floor. My friend described that she had gone to the had been like having trouble sleeping, and she'd gone to the dentist, and the dentist had said that she'd started grinding her teeth in her sleep. And that was something she'd never done before. And immediately I was just like, because like at this point we'd been friends for years, like we'd known each other for a while, and I was like, you're so stressed. And I kind of like essentially had to grab her and be like, you need to stop. Like I was like, you gotta stop this. You need to go home and you need to distress. And I'm gonna make. I got pretty much like I kind of got really. Especially for me, I got shockingly forceful. But I was like, look, you're not okay right now. And that's fine. But you need to go and you need to distress. For her and me, we both like writing. We were both writers. And something she hadn't been doing once all this had started was writing. And I was like, look, you need to go home, lock yourself in your room. You don't come out until you sit down in front of that computer and you write something. I don't care if you have to force the words out. You just start writing and you get it out there, because that's how you've always, like in my head, it's how she's dealt with stress. And I was like, get it out there, process some of this crap, and you're gonna, and come back to me on Monday. We're gonna we're gonna talk, okay? Like I kind of like made her like do it. And I was terrified. She left and I left, and I was like, I just killed our friendship. I just killed whatever we had. I was one of the few friends she had left remaining. And now I've just abandoned her. Great. Just great. But then she came back on Monday with this huge smile, and she gave me a hug, and she was like, I feel so much better. And it was because, like, having known her long enough, I was right. She needed to process her emotions, and she'd been avoiding it. And once she did the things that she had used in the past to process emotions and to process stress, it had just come tumbling out. She said it had been a very rough weekend, but at the other end, she'd felt a lot better. And she eventually made up with her friends, and things kind of came back together. When she wasn't so emotionally volatile, she was able to express to her friends her actual feelings and kind of shared like a lot more about like her side of the story, and they came back around to her side. But it was awful to watch. But Michiru needs to somehow, I wish we knew, what does Michiru do to de-stress? Unfortunately, Meowmel was her de-stressing. And so now what do we do? How do we help her? I don't know. Considering that tough act this afternoon about setting me free or whatever, she looks distinctly jealous over me holding a mere conversation with Makina. Alright, I'll play with you once. I'll play once you become a true expert at tagging shadows. Until then, contain yourself with your image training.
でも分かったのよさ。想像力をフルに使ってシャドウするのよさ。
She's so weird.
集中しすぎて本当に影が見えてきた。
I'm pretty sure that's just your shadow.
そっか。これ普通に影じゃん。危ねえ。騙されるとこだった。ちょっと私、そこの空き部屋で休んでくるわね。具合悪いの？大丈夫？
She gets she manifests like a physical reaction when she gets overwhelmed.
平気よ。心配はゴムよ。なんか今発音変じゃなかった？ゴム？ゴム？それじゃあね。松島さん、この前渡せなかった6枚の。ごめんねユミコ、その話はまた今度。
She's still feeling so sick. Aw, Yumiko.
ミチルってばまだ完全に体調が戻ってないみたいね。ねえユージ、様子見に行った方がいいんじゃない？
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go. Michiru, you alright? Answer me. You don't look so hot after all. Michiru, let's...
ちょっと来て。
Michiru grabs my wrist and unceremoniously drags me into the unoccupied room. Oh, jeez. Why? No. You two, please. Come on. This is just a tough moment, alright? What's wrong? The others are worried, you know?
やっぱりダメかもしれない。
Michiru mumbles a spectacularly inadequate explanation in a tear-choked voice. I honestly don't know what she's trying to say.
したい。
Okay. Alright. This sucks. Because I think I know what's happening. She wants to... I just talked about, like, needing to de-stress, right? On one hand, maybe this could help. But on the other hand, she's not in an emotional state to be making big decisions. And I feel like... God, I don't know what's worse, rejecting her out of the sense of, like, you need... Like, I don't think you're in... Like, you're clearly really trying to work things out right now, and I don't know if this is the right time. Versus, like, screw it. Sometimes it's just best to just go with the flow. And, like, let things happen and see if that helps. I don't know. Want to do what? If you have something to say, then say it.
恋人ごっこでいいからキスしたい。
Say what? What is this girl thinking? I stop out of concern for her physical well-being, and she drags me in here of this, of all things? I don't understand you. First you go on about how you don't want anything from me anymore, and now you're demanding kisses.
ごめんなさい。でも私、本当は怖くて仕方ないの。だからお願い、またごっこして。
Is playing pretend really going to satisfy you?
わかんないけど、最後までしてくれたら、少しは。
Sheesh. All the way? What's that supposed to mean? Michiru looks at me with an earnest expression and pleads her case.
お願い。私胸が苦しいの。このままじゃダメになっちゃうかもしれない。だから、私がここにいてもいい理由が欲しい。
I decline. Fetch me, Yuuji. You're a strong man, but I also agree, like, I would feel really uncomfortable. You're just in a temporary state of mental agitation. Sorry, but I don't make the habit of playing with distraught women.
混乱してないもん。いつもと同じだもん。
You sure as hell don't look it.
いいから、しなさいよね。
I can't help but let out a little tactless laughter. I guess the girl's trying to demonstrate that she's the same as always by means of incredibly strange tsundere act, but seriously.
なんで笑うのよ。早くごっこしなさい。
Honestly, you really are an idiot.
うるさい。するの。しないの。
Alright, since you insist that strongly, I'll play along. But is this really gonna accomplish anything?
わからない。わからないけど、してくれたら、ユージにいろいろ話す勇気が出ると思うし、安心する。
Fetch me, man. A lot of stuff, is it? Well, whatever. That works. I do have a lot of things I want to ask you. I pull Michiru close to me and bring my face to hers. When our lips touch lightly, a soft moan escapes from the corner of her mouth. Just as requested, I repeat gentle, affectionate kisses on the sort of loving couples might share. If someone bursts in right now, oh my gosh. Something wrong? Your breathing seems to have gotten rough all of a sudden.
そんなわけないでしょ。バカ。
Can't help but smile. It still reminds me so much of just memories. Why is memory lane being so... It's a lot of memories today. Still trying to pull the tsundere act, huh? In that case. As I press my lips against Michiru's yet again, I place my hand on her small chest, her entire body instantly going rigid as a board.
そんなこともするの。やめて。
You said to go all the way, didn't you? Having second thoughts? Really will stop if you want. Even as I speak, I remove my hand from Michiru's chest. But she quickly catches the sleeve of my shirt and halts my retreat. Oh boy. Whew. God, I'm so torn though! I mean, it's like clearly the consent is there. That's perfectly fine. But it's like, but is she in an emotional good place right now? But does it matter? I don't think it really does. Mostly. But then it does. And it's, oh my gosh. God, I'm so emotionally invested. I'm so emotionally invested.
やめないでよ。
Didn't you just tell me to cut it out?
あれは、そうだけど、違うの。
I see. In that case, next time I won't stop even if you ask me to.
それでいいと思う。もういいからあんまりいろいろ言わないでよね。
I don't know. You kinda do. The girl's tough tone fades in and out at random, feeling nervous, it would seem. It had slipped my mind until her body went stiff at my touch, but Michiru is a total virgin. Maybe a slightly different approach is called for. Don't make me do all the work, Michiru. Try starting to kiss yourself for once. Compared to me kissing you until unilaterally, a give and take exchange would be more couple-like, don't you think?
仕方ないからしてあげるわよ。特別なんだからね。
Maybe in reality she is kind of a tsundere, but only in these kind of things. Right. I bring my face toward Michiru's and stop just as my lips are about to make contact with hers. Her cheeks flush a vivid shade of red. Seems she's taken the hint. Aww. After a hesitant moment where her eyes flit back and forth, Michiru softly touches her lips to mine, lightly sucks against my mouth, then retreats. Before she has a chance to turn her face aside in embarrassment, I follow and kiss her in return. We press our lips together again and again, alternating attack and defense. Just as it should be. Michiru's tension seems to be gradually melting away as her sighs grow steadily louder and noticeably more passionate. Again, just keep it reasonable. It's in the moment. It's, gosh. Gosh darn it. I'm emotionally all over the place today. I remember the first time I kissed my partner, my wife. I remember we kissed, and I got this really strong burning in my chest after a while. I thought it was just, like passion and whatnot. No, actually, I was just so caught up in the moment, I'd forgotten to breathe. Like, I could breathe through my nose, I just hadn't been. And I was literally suffocating myself because I was too in the moment. Michiru.
料理ずっとこうしたかった。
Whenever our lips part for a moment, Michiru looks up at me with moist eyes. I reach out to stroke her cheek and then slide my hand along her neck to the shoulder. From there, with deliberate teasing slowness, my fingers make their way to her chest. This time, Michiru attempts to disguise her embarrassment by coming at me with a kiss. Hey, that works. As I return it, I begin to gently massage her smallish breasts. Hey, they're perfectly fine. Seems the long round of kissing has finally gotten the girl warmed up. Every movement of my fingers prompts a small sigh of pleasure. I gradually increase the pace of my caresses and slightly increase the force I apply to her breasts. Oh boy. Yeah, that's the lack of breathing. I know what that is. Turning her increasingly misty eyes up to mine, Michiru mumbles vague words. Not that I'm immune myself. I can feel the pleasant heat building up inside my head as I press my lips against Michiru's once more. Michiru calls out my name in a sweet, fawning tone. Taking that as my cue, I slip my tongue inside her mouth. It's so unceremonious. Taken off her guard by my sudden aggression, Michiru twitches underneath me. But soon she grabs hold of my shirt and shuts her eyes, then timidly offers me her tongue. At first, only the tips of our tongues touch. It's as if we're cautiously feeling each other out. It's weird seeing it in text. It's so accurate, but it's also so weird to just be reading it. It's bizarre. Our tongues part briefly, only to slowly, tentatively find their way back together.
Oh.
Please, this is hardly anything out of the ordinary. A naughty kiss would be something more like this. Oh no! I invade even deeper inside Michiru's mouth, twinning my tongue around hers as if caressing it. Come on. Call me again, don't just sit there. What's the matter? Some tsundere you are. Failing all too easily for my provocation, Michiru attempts to imitate my French kiss. In answer, I answer her awkward movements. Our tongues tangle wetly together. As our kisses grow deeper, I feel Michiru's heated moans all the more intimately. The contents of my head seem to be slowly approaching the boiling point, my previous deliberate movements growing faster and rougher. Oh boy. It's impressive words usage considering the instructions. Watching Michiru squirm around inside my arms, my arousal grows impossible to suppress. Yep. Still wrestling my tongue around hers, I begin to undo the buttons of her uniform. Michiru squeaks softly in surprise, but my hands don't stop moving. After removing her ribbon, I quickly finish unbuttoning the blouse and immediately roll up the bra underneath to expose her breasts. Here we go, coconut's coming out. Keep hearing sounds behind me. Gosh darn it. I'm just gonna move on from this slide. Her face bright red, Michiru offers a dubious defense and her voice quaking with embarrassment. Unfortunately for her, this accomplishes nothing except stimulating my sadistic instincts. I respond by pinching her sharply. YouTube is not going to like this one. Oh no. If this is totally normal, then yours are usually large. Also, they're quite hard. So you did? Well, when I told you I'm not going to stop next time, you agreed. Every time I play with her, Michiru moans noisily. It's pretty enjoyable hearing the girl squeal like this, but try to keep it down, Michiru. The others are going to catch on. Oh boy. Oh boy. So it seems. You really want to stop after coming this far? I see. In that case, why don't I help you keep quiet? I lower myself toward Michiru's bright red face and seal her lips mid-moan. Kissing the girl whenever she seems about to squeal, I muffle her voice to keep the others from hearing. But of course, the sound reaches me clearly enough. From those heated pants alone, I can tell Michiru is getting turned on. Really? You sure about that? Are you quite confident? Good grief.
キスしながらこすられるなんて気持ちいい。
Yeah. Want to feel even better? I'm asking you a question. Respond.
なりたい。
Oh boy, here we go. That's so. Understood. Accepting Michiru's answer, I squash her hard, flat, clutch them hard and flat under my fingers. Why am I even here now?
熱くどんどん敏感になっていくみたい。
I'll muffle your voice, so feel free to enjoy yourself. Every time I rub her, Michiru trembles violently. A sweet smell begins to rise from her increasingly warm body.
私もう何も考えられない。
I do worry. So my worry here now is legitimately, like, what if she turns to this as a means of distraction, feeling alive, while it's not thinking about, you know, the scary world or the fears and trouble she has? What if she turns this into a new, like there's a line across between, you know, something that's like just a physical satisfaction and genuinely healthy to an addiction. And like she could do what, there's actually a legitimate thing called addiction transference. It's when you go through if you go through a process where you're trying to purge yourself of something you're addicted to, it's very common to, when you're feeling those withdrawal symptoms, but you have the strength to resist, you often can find an alternative addiction in exchange. A good example, one being, as you maybe probably know, I lost a lot of weight. But it's really common for people who lose a lot of weight and go through programs to pick up alcoholism or drugs, because addiction transference from food addiction to alcohol or drugs is really easy compared to just going cold turkey and being able to resist the temptation of food. Her mind dulled by pleasure, Michiru speaks her thoughts out loud for no apparent reason. In order to accelerate the disorientation of her rationality, I intensify my attack.
気持ちよすぎて体溶けちゃう。
Soon enough, Michiru's gasps take on a newly urgent tone.
体溶ける。溶けちゃう。
Good job. Michiru's pleasure apparently reaches something of a climax, judging from the enormous shockwave that runs through her body. With a long, loud exhalation of breath, the girl grabs my hand as if to steady herself. You alright, Michiru? Alright, Michiru can manage in response as a weak nod of the head. Her brain seems to be less functional than usual at the moment. As I lean down to kiss her yet again, I notice that I've developed a large bulge and... Yes, you have. No doubt the result of this entertaining little show. I'm surprised it took you this long. I don't know, man. Guys are different, apparently. It's not like this is something I know much about, but guessing from this, if this is at all supposed to be related to real-life expectations or real-life experiences, apparently it's a process for some people. Never was much of a process for me. Michiru, just to double check, this wasn't what you meant by all the way, right?
最後じゃない。そんなの当たり前でしょ。
There's a point where we will have to just cut away. If it goes that far, I have had to cut parts out of visual novels before. I think it's good that we get the unfiltered version, the original version that was released. But there is a point where even the grace of YouTube will not allow us to go, even with censoring. All right, then. What position should we go with?
タイ？わかんないから。
It's true, she has no experience, dude. Missionary style, in other words?
正常位?
She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, and how are you supposed to? I mean, unless you're, like, talking about it with people or you traipse about on the internet long enough, like, you're not really gonna learn this stuff. Like, I don't know any parents that go sit down with their kids and say, let me tell you about all the various positions. Michiru enters tentatively, her eyes averted in embarrassment. A momentary doubt flashes across my mind. Is it really all right for me to take this any further under these circumstances? Yeah, I agree. I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely have no idea. Still, at this point, I doubt Michiru would accept me backing out even if I wanted to. Okay then, lie yourself down on the bed.
わかった。
You dude, if she seems resistant at all after this, I don't care if you technically got permission. Like we stop. Her face full of tension, Michiru nods and totters a few steps away from me. Oh, maybe we won't. She settles herself face up on the bed and slowly bends her legs upward. Oh, maybe so. Oh, yep, here we go. Interesting. So we are gonna cut away here. You can't see anything. I can see everything. Ish, kind of. There's still a little bit of censoring going on. Kind of makes sense though, based on my understanding and information, is that there are still some lines that even in a fully rated would be, like a fully rated M series wouldn't be crossed. Not sure exactly how those rules play out and how it works for something like this. Like, did they have a fully uncensored version or not? I don't know. Anyway, we'll cut back. I'll give my impressions of what happens afterwards. But yeah, this is where we part ways for a bit. Before I know it, Michiru's fallen asleep in my arms. But we can't exactly lie around here all day. I lift the girl onto my back and head for her room.
ユージ、どうしたの？ミチル、具合悪いの？
Not to worry. The girl's just exhausted. Doesn't look like she's gonna wake up anytime soon, so I thought I'd go put her to bed.
そっか、わかった。もし何かあったら、助けになるから教えてね。
Yeah, I'll do that. I wait at Michiru's bedside as she sleeps, occupying myself with a book. I feel a little exasperated at myself for reading at a time like this, but it's the surest method I have for regaining emotional balance. Alright, so now we'll talk about it. It was actually very sweet. Like, I get that a lot of times people look at these types of things and events as fan service, and in a way it is. I imagine a lot of these scenes were kind of a selling point for some people. Never for me, though. But what I did like is the fact that it was, while it was exorbitant and very showman-like and very, you know, fan servicey, there was a level of, like, there's a beauty to it, and a big part of it for me is when it plays to the strengths of the characters, because they're supposed to be real people with a real relationship, and I feel like that the bonding with Yuuji and Michiru, it feels very much like their relationship. A lot of play and talk, but underneath it was genuine emotion, connection, and a desire for each other to feel good and to be supportive in a way. And it's kind of fun because it has that playfulness that they've always had mingled in with that genuine emotion that I feel like I've picked up between them. So it was actually it was a very sweet union and a very sweet scene. None of it can make it to YouTube. But that's okay. If you're desperate to know and you haven't played it before, get the game, get the patch. Because I don't know if they just skip over that entirely or not in the patch. But it was very sweet. I think it was fitting and enjoyable and wasn't gratuitous or really out of nowhere. There's a lot of lead up to it, and it made a lot of sense. I still feel twisted about it too. That's part of it that's so amazing, is that like obviously there's people who are here just for like the service, but like genuinely, kind of like Yuuji sitting here, it's like, is it okay that it happened? I mean, I think he really enjoyed it. She clearly really enjoyed it. And I feel like it is in a lot of ways a very healthy thing. Like, as long as they're being responsible and taking proper precautions and such, like, it's relatively healthy. But that's under normal circumstances. With her mental state and the current trauma that she's experiencing and processing, I mean, I feel like on one hand it could be helpful, but there's so many ways it also could be bad. I just don't think there's a clear way to judge. I don't think Yuji's a bad person for what for moving forward. So, yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, back to we're gonna be wrapping things up here, so I'm gonna phase it to the next scenes. It's not like I'm an indifferent robot. Sleeping with Michiru has complicated my feelings more than a little. When I look up from the book for the first time in a while, the girl's awake and watching me quietly. I ask if she's feeling alright, prompting a quiet, "It hurts." Aww. What? Did I knock you against something on the way up here?
そうじゃないよ。バカ。
Oh.
あるでしょ?
Michiru squirms under the covers, rubbing her thighs against each other. I see. The pain from losing her virginity is still lingering? Not the sort of thing a man can really understand. Sorry about that.
なんで謝るの? 嬉しかったよ。ありがとう。体からユージの匂いがするの。嬉しい。
Boy, the shyness is gone now. As she speaks, Michiru offers me a sincere smile for the first time in a while. Alright then. We're done playing make-believe for the moment, so why don't you tell me what you've been hiding? I'll hear you out.
どこから話したらいいか。
I lower my paper back to the floor, shifting my attention to Michiru's story. Alright, this is kind of cruel, but at the same time, we've really gone on for a while. Let's stop it here. We'll give this story, her explanation, and her feelings a really solid, thorough, just examination. I don't know, maybe something's gonna interrupt and like Deus Ex Machina us out of this situation, but I don't really care. This is a fantastic place for us to end. What a crazy ride of emotions I've been on tonight. I need to process all of this. I'm kind of glad that we got the fan service there. Like, story-wise it made sense, but even beyond that, like, it was such a traumatic intro episode. Like, it's nice to end it on a high note, on a note that was, especially because, like I said, it didn't come off as, like, super fan servicey. Like, it definitely had, like, notes of, like, they hammed certain things up for, you know, the service, but I feel like the writer was genuinely trying to use even the intimacy as a way of communicating the story beats and the characters, and letting this be a powerful moment for both Michiru and Yuuji, which I really appreciate and love. Like, those are the scenes I live for. It's funny because, like, there are so many people who argue when they see these types of scenes and moments, or especially out of context, and they say, oh, it's just it's a PORN game. It's just, you know, for all that, and so not. There's so much more to these stories. If you want that, you can find that in visual novels or just on, you know, anything, really. You can find as much as you could possibly ever want, dream, right? That's never the thing. These stories have been about so much more than that. And that's why they're so beautiful. That's why they deserve the attention and love that they have and should receive. So why I still will recommend this game to as many people as I can, knowing that some of them might be uncomfortable with these scenes. That's the best part about the Steam versions, though. A lot of it gets edited out and taken care of in that respect anyway. So it's a very good version to jump to somebody who might be uncomfortable. But I also would always push saying, like, look, for better or worse, the creators made it a certain way. I think it's best to respect that and try and, like, see it as they wanted to, and then decide if you like it or not. But again, like, while the scene was enticing and invigorating and exciting in many different ways, that is such a base and animalistic way to look at something that's genuinely been beautifully crafted. So, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Gotta say, I'm really struggling right now to comprehend anybody being so powerful and moving for me as Michiru. But if all the other stories in the past in this game are as powerful as this one episode alone was, this is gonna be a competitor in the top tier with like Muv-Luv. I think Muv-Luv still holds the crown for the most like dramatic, just like waterworks, but this has come shockingly close. This is going to be a very memorable episode and a very important one in my recollection for the channel. I'm very happy to have shared it with you. Despite how vulnerable I feel, despite how just gross I'm sure it looked and sounded, like, the one thing I can offer you that you won't find anywhere else is somebody who's going to take this seriously and really just feel it, just right in my soul. I don't think a whole lot of creators really do that. A lot of it is about pure entertainment, cracking jokes, building like some kind of set piece. But you get just the real stuff here. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you continue joining me and that you want to keep supporting the channel and keep wanting to be a part of this journey. Thank you so much for everything you're here for. Thank you to the patrons and members especially. The one comfort I get covering scenes like this that are very much like iffy, and like who knows if YouTube might just suddenly decide that it crossed the line in retrospect and just destroy like half my channel for it, because it happens. It's the patrons and members that make me feel confident that I can just keep moving forward even if I have to face those challenges, that these stories are worth sharing and fighting for. And I'm so grateful to you for that. But even if you're not a patron or member, just being here, viewing it, sharing the channel, like leaving comments, all of it makes such a big difference to me. So thank you so much. You're all champions. You're all lab members. You're all an important part of this story. The story I get to share. So thank you. And until the next video you're watching me, if you see me next, I'll see you there.